Hello guys, and welcome to this brief tutorial. Now, I have already posted a guide on Moodle that details the structure for assignment 1, but I also thought that maybe having like a 5 minutes video can be useful for you while you're finalizing the final stages of your assignment. So while you go through each of the section of the report, maybe this video can provide some useful suggestion on whether there's something that you may improve, or you may wish to expand, or you just may want to check whether you included information or not. So let's look at each section in detail. Now, as you already know, operationally, the assignment is worth 30% of the final mark, is a group assignment, and the length is about 2,500 words. Now, there's no need to write anything longer than that. We are communicators, we are strategic communicators, and we want to be brief and impactful. So each section should only contain that information, the relevant information that is listed both in the subject guide as well as in this checklist that I'm going to provide to you. Now, the first section, or section 0, more properly, is actually the executive summary. That's only an abstract, a brief summary, which I suggest you to write at the end, that summarizes all the key information of the other 3 sections. Probably 200, 250 words maximum is what the executive summary should be. Now, what is the executive summary going to summarize? Of course, the 3 main sections of this report. Now, the first section is about key information about a brand and its brand identity. And there are 3 main subsections. Now, I've indicated about 750 words as the limit for this, as is the upper limit for this section, and probably 200, 250 words for each of these 3 subsections are what I would suggest. Now, section 1 is key brand information. In this section, you want to give the reader a brief glimpse, a snapshot about the more macro strategic aspects of a brand. And by this I mean in which industry they operate, who are the main competitors, what's the annual turnover in terms of revenues, and probably the geographical markets in which the brand is most prominent. You just want to provide and guide the audience into what the brand is at a broader business level. Now, in section 2, actually, you start talking about branding, specifically the brand positioning and brand identity. What does the brand stand for? I mean, Apple stands for superior design and customer experience, and Nike stands for bold, active sportswear that actually challenges your own limits and encourages you to be bold. So what does the brand you were assigned to stand for? That's their current brand identity, right? And this is key to the next section when you're going to analyze whether there is an alignment or not in terms of brand identity and brand image. And here comes the 3rd subsection that actually speaks to the target audience. Who is the key customer segments for the brand you've been assigned to? Here we want to create a fictitious customer persona. You need to be able to describe using gender, age, psychographics, who is the archetypical customer for the brand you've been assigned to. Now, after you have completed this introductory section, we are moving to the core. And let me really emphasize the core section of the report, which is the multi-stakeholder map. Now, in this section, which I encourage you to also develop graphically, we're looking at about 1,500 words in which you map all the relevant brand touch points between the brand and its key stakeholders. Now, I cannot stress enough how the Orazi and other authors 2017 published in the European Journal of Marketing is an invaluable source of information and inspiration to actually develop one of such maps. And if you do it properly, it will be really easy to map how the brand interacts with these different stakeholders using different brand touchpoint strategies. Here we want to really see the extent to which the brand communicates with different stakeholders beyond just consumers, and what can be done in case in the future, and this is like a foreshadowing for assignment 2, what can be done to to even reinforce these bonds between the brand and stakeholders, and what can be done in the future to actually align even more what stakeholders perceive the brand to be with what actually we, the management of the brand, wish the brand to be. Now, in this section, ideally you will map 2 to 3, maybe even 4 stakeholders, and of course customers are the one that will appear in every report. I encourage you to consider employees data or external stakeholders including media and government. How is the brand depicted in popular press? Was the brand at the center of any governmental or high order debate? Volkswagen, for example, was protagonist of a scandal. Now, you don't necessarily need to look at scandals, although they offer a lot of inspiration on a campaign that will realign the brand identity, because of course scandals are tarnishing the brand identity of any brand. But in the press there is a lot of depiction and talk about different brands, how they're represented. In movies, in case the brand is part of product placement, you can find additional information. So don't be limited by what you can find in the paper. Anything that actually speaks to the interaction between the brand and another stakeholder and how the brand is perceived by that stakeholder is something we're looking at. Because after we have developed this map, our goal for this report is to assess whether the brand identity, what we stand for as a brand, is perceived as such by relevant stakeholders. And if not, what are we going to do in assignment 2 when we develop specific IMC strategies to realign the brand identity? Now, bear in mind, you may discover that the brand identity is actually not misaligned with what consumers perceive. In that case, you don't need to engage into realignment, but you may wish to reinforce these perceptions. And on the basis of this assessment, you're going to spell out communication objectives about what you're going to do, and this in a way ties to assignment 2, to increase brand equity, either by aligning a misaligned identity or just strengthening an existing positioning. Now, I suggest you look again at the slides in week 5 and week 6 when we discuss the difference between marketing objectives and communication objectives. But as a quick cheat guide, probably the easiest way to do is by considering the hierarchy of effects objectives, meaning that we can have objectives that are at a cognitive sphere, for example, increasing brand awareness, or including our brand in the consideration set when it comes to choice. We have objectives that are at the affective level, so we want to generate emotional involvement, we want to increase brand loyalty, and then we have, of course, the cognitive objectives, which usually speak about increasing purchase frequency or the amount of product purchased. So these are all behavioral objectives, right? So I think that concludes this brief tutorial. Really keep it simple. I hope this clarifies a bit the purpose of assignment 1, and please don't hesitate to post on the forum or send me an email should you wish to discuss anything. So best of luck. I very much look forward to read your assignments at the end of week 7.